A warm welcome to NASS This Week. I remain your host, Comfort Olayinka. From the House of Representatives, Honorable Aliyu Sani Madaki on Tuesday has called for the need to suspend the implementation of increase in tuition fees of universities. He further says the hike in fees by the universities is happening against the worsening poverty level in the country.
Call to suspend the increase in tuition fees by Nigerian universities. The House notes that, citing the poor funding of tertiary education and rising inflation in the country, federal universities across the country increased their tuition fees by 100 to 200%, while hostel fees were equally increased by 50 to 100%. Also note that universities that hike their fees include Bayero University, Kano, the University of Nigeria in Suka, the University of Uyo, University of Maiduguri, Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Omadike, and Federal University Duse, among others. Resolved to urge the National University Commissions to immediately halt implementation of the increase of fees by federal universities. Mandate the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services, when constituted, to investigate the increase of fees by federal universities across the country with a view to finding lasting solutions to the challenges in the tertiary education sector.
Honorable Godwin Ofiono moved for the need to stop excess charges and illegal deduction by commercial banks in Nigeria, stating that commercial banks are charging outrageous interest on loans and overdrafts at a rate that is higher than agreed rates in the offer letter.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a motion on the need to stop excess charges and illegal deduction by commercial banks in Nigeria, as is duly listed on the motion paper of this day. The House notes that some banks and financial institutions in Nigeria indulge in unethical practices of fleecing their customers through excess charges and unauthorized deductions. Mr. Speaker, dear honorable colleagues, the House equally notes that customers of different commercial banks are groaning over excessive charges on their accounts. The financial institutions known as deposit money banks, DMS, have reportedly introduced different deductions to increase their income, a development that is uncomfortable with customers.
Honorable Philip Agbese has moved for need to investigate crude oil thefts, loss of revenue from the oil and gas sector in Nigeria.
Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to move a motion on the need to investigate crude oil theft and loss of revenue accrued from oil and gas sector in Nigeria. That this motion is in response to reports which reveal that in just 2021 alone, Nigeria lost over $4 billion to oil theft at the rate of 200,000 barrels per day. Mr. Speaker, may I now proceed to my one and only prayer on this motion, that the House resolves to constitute another committee to investigate crude oil theft in Nigeria with a view to curbing economic loss to the country.
Honorable Bali Mustafa Tijani moved for the need to limit crude oil lifting contracts to companies quoted on the Nigerian Exchange Group. He says the sector lacks effective and falls short of transparency and accountability due to the operation of briefcase companies which add no tangible to our economy. The House of Representatives has on Thursday approved the request of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to amend the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act to extract 500 billion from the budget to provide palliatives against fuel subsidy removal.
I rise to move that a bill for an act to authorize the issuance of the sum of 500 billion naira only from the 2022 supplementary appropriations of 819 billion 536 million 937,815 naira only for the provisions of palliatives to Nigerians to cushion the effects of subsidy removal.
Stay tuned for interview of this week.
Federal constituency of Crossing State, the Paradise State in Nigeria.
You moved the motion on the floor of the House today. Can you just throw more light on the motion?
Well, after assuming office as the House of Rep member representing Ombo Federal Constituency, I decided to undertake a needs assessment tour of my federal constituency and visit some federal government projects, some that have been abandoned. And while we were growing up, the Obudu Dam Resort was a major tourism site. A lot of us used to go, people used to go for picnics, a lot of activities were happening, people used to hold events and all of that. And then our parents were mostly farmers and we know what the dam used to do in terms of agriculture. So for some time that place has not been working. So I decided to visit the place, and when I got there I saw that the federal government had good intentions. Even though the first job was not properly done, but we are aware that sometimes the contract was re-awarded for some billions of naira and nothing has happened. So I decided to bring it before the House today to see that the federal government will go back to work. That will create employment opportunities to our people, that will boost our agricultural production. There will be food sufficiency and all of that. So that's the reason why I brought it to the floor of the House today, to see that we get the relevant agencies to ask the contractor to go back to work.
The dam, is it only beneficial to only your constituency, your immediate environment, or it expands to other constituencies?
That is the only dam around our area, as far as Cross River North is concerned. Or even Cross River State, I'm not aware of any other dam. So you should know that it will not only benefit my constituency. But first of all, I must talk about my constituency. That's my greatest concern. So we're just trying to see how everything works, and at least our youth will be gainfully employed. Activities will begin again. Our farmers will be having a lot of things easy for them. So that's why I brought the motion before the House today.
Okay. What were your prayers? Some of the prayers in the motion.
We should ask the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Water Resources to look at the dam and try to see how they have taken the dam to work again. And then the committee in charge of that should, when constituted, should set up to investigate the reason why the contract was abandoned, and see how we get the contractors to get back to site and report back to the House for immediate action. So that's just the prayers.
Okay. From what about now your constituent? What would be your advice to them? Should the contractors return to site? Because we have had instances whereby members of the community stopped project probably because they were not settled or because of
no, we don't have such issues in my place. We want development. We are hospitable people, we are peaceful people, we are law-abiding people, we are exposed people. So it will be the joy of every constituent to see that the dam is working again. I didn't just take this decision alone. At least when I went to BC, I consulted with members of my constituent, and they were even happy that in the first instance I went to the place. So they will be happy. We don't do such things in my place. It will be the joy of every constituent to see that that place is working. Is it not they who get employment there? Is it not they who work there? Are they going to employ people from Niger Republic to come and work there? It will be people from that federal constituency. So it's something that everybody is happy about and will be happy about.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now the Senate. On Tuesday, the Senate resolved to investigate the controversial huge expenditure on premium motor spirits PMS on the subsidy recovery regime by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, following a motion moved by Senator Chinwuba Ndubueze Patrick of Imo North.
The then Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA, published in its website figures that contradicted NNPCL's daily under-recovery claims within the same period. Also concerned that the federal government appropriated 1.42 trillion and 4.3 trillion naira for petrol subsidy in 2021 and 2022 respectively, while 3.6 trillion was appropriated for petrol subsidy for 6 months ending June 2023. NNPCL's arbitrary and unsupervised direct deductions from the country's crude oil revenue without recourse to any enabling law contravenes Section 89 1C and 1D of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and does not speak well of the good intentions of the federal government, especially in the fight against corruption.
Senator Adams Oshomole on Wednesday moved for urgent need for the federal government to mobilize tractors to site and stem further deploration state of Benin-Auchi-Lokoja Road. He says the deploration state of the road has forced smaller vehicles to opt for longer alternative routes through Ondo State in order to avoid gridlock caused by the failed portion of the road.
The deplorable and dangerous state of the Benin-Auchi-Lokoja Road, which links the southeast, the south-south state to the northern part of Nigeria. The contract for the construction of this road was awarded to Dantata and Savoy, RCC, Mothercat, and GIG Company in 2012 by the then President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Following cries and complaints by commuters about the hardship they encounter on this road on a daily basis. Also notes that certain portions of the road has failed completely, especially around Ekpoma and Agbede axis. That the Senate urged Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to grant approval for the augmentation of costs on the road through the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, pending the constitution of the Federal Executive Council for ratification.
The Senate has on Thursday confirmed the appointment of the newly appointed service chiefs by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu after screening process in the Red Chamber.
The Senate in a closed session considered the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, for the confirmation of nominees for appointment as Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The nominees answered questions from distinguished senators on defense-related matters and also answered questions on a number of topical issues. And the Senate thereafter approved the nominations of the following persons as Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Major General C.G. Musa, Chief of Defense Staff. Major General A.T. Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff. Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ikechukwu Ogala, Chief of Naval Staff. Air Vice Marshal H.B. Abubakar, Chief of Air Staff. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
Yes. We've come to the end of today's edition of NASS This Week. Join us same time next week for another interesting edition. Bye for now.